Welcome everybody to the last Key Game Show, coming to you live from our Denver, Colorado studios, the beautiful Rocky Mountains right behind me. Everybody's coming here because we let the entire country know that this is the best place to live in the USA, and they are coming. Welcome everybody. This show is, of course, streaming on YouTube Live as well as YouTube Red and at consciousrevolutionmedia.com. And we have I am with us with his beautiful back to us. Welcome to the show. he's joining us from somewhere up north in Canada. And then we also have Ben with us right here in the backyard of Denver, Colorado. He's our cast member. And our theme for today is gameplay. Wow, what a theme. So I didn't even recognize what the hell a gameplay was until we got into phase 2 here. But I think a better explanation would be given by IM. So I'm going to turn that over to you. Explain to the viewers and us, what do we mean by a gameplay?
Well, actually, there's a whole lot. And I was contemplating this one before we even got onto the idea of a theme. And you can't really say one thing is. So I'm gathering from what you were saying that you had a specific happening, I guess you'd call it. So I would actually like to hear what you're talking about, because you have a specificness to
it. Okay.
I'll elaborate later, but I'm really interested.
And since we know each other pretty good by now, yeah, that's a good one. So yes, I had a gameplay that occurred on Friday. So the kind of work I do is in finance, and I only see people by appointment, right? So people just don't show up unannounced because they won't be seen. So I get a call from my receptionist on Friday, somewhere right around 1 o'clock, and she announces there's this person. His name I'm not gonna tell you on the show, but this name. And I said, okay, thanks. And then I put the phone down and I thought about it for a second, and I'm going like, wow, he's not on my calendar. Who the heck is he? I never see people that have not made an appointment. And so I thought about it for a second, and I had discomfort because I was making up all kinds of crap who it could be. And I stopped myself, and then I said, well, okay, so if I was in phase 1, what I would normally do is I would just tell my receptionist to take his name and number, and then we'll have to make an appointment, and then we can get together. That's what I would normally do. So this time, since I felt, I'm in phase 2, that's not something I really want to do. So I just got up and went and saw him. And it was a young guy, again, back in the between 20s and 30s. And he was a title rep, and he was referred to me by somebody else, some realtor. And so we went into a private office, and I started to talk to him, and he gave me his spiel. And then the entire conversation proceeded into consciousness, proceeded into this conversation, and he gave me his card, and I looked at him, and I'm going like, the guy looked like a country singer. And he says, yes. He is a country singer, and he lived in Nashville, and he knows all kinds of people in the business, and he's opened for big names before. He was on whatever that show is that is no longer the talent show. I forgot the name. American Idol. He was an American Idol. He finished like number 40. I can't remember which one. It doesn't matter. It's not important. But why I'm bringing this up as a gameplay is because I just trusted that there is some reason why he and I are getting together. I don't know what it is. And the opener obviously is our business, but we spent 90 minutes of the 1.5 hour meeting was about consciousness, not about his business and my business. So I also reminded myself that I don't have to know what the reason is why he and I got together. It will be revealed to me at some point. So that's the gameplay.
Cool. Yeah. It's neat because that was so odd compared to your daily grind there, that it was definitely something thrown in, like an extra, like a weirdness.
Yeah,
Just
totally weird.
It shows you that you can't really judge where it'll happen. You can't really judge what will happen. And like the idea that we have ideas about how you make money and stuff like that, really, if this is a game and you can't judge how it'll happen or where it'll happen, somebody could just show up and give you a bag. Really.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah,
$1 million right there. It really, that's whose rules, right? Who says you got to do this to get that and this to the, that's the placebo. That is the placebo. This pill is going to make me feel better, or I don't believe this doctor, and it's not going to make. You are the one that sets all of your own rules, including I have to do 9 to 5, 5 days a week, 8, whatever, you get up and all of that stuff. They might have been adapted rules from somebody else, but they're now your rules. And the idea of gameplay being so specific, that's why I wanted to hear you, because we even have the mindset that when we say game, we think one game. That's the way we think. We think one world, one reality, one game. And everybody's got to play our game, or that's the game. But in a field of all possibilities and multiverses and multi-dimensions, there could be 1,000 games going on in this general vicinity that you are in and out of. Like reality bubbles, basically. It could be 1,000 people with their own reality bubble.
So the thing I also would like you to touch on is how to recognize that there's a gameplay, and yeah, that's it.
Well,
how to recognize it, because
why I thought this was funny, because everything is. Everything is, but you usually have to get jolted to realize it is. Like that oddness about the no appointment thing. That's so weird that you couldn't miss it. But everything of every day, of every moment is a gameplay. You're just not seeing it that way. Right,
because it's so familiar, or it's...
Yeah, exactly.
We get into that thing where, when I'm in, I don't know about Ben. Let's get Ben to talk. But when you're at work, doesn't it seem like it's repetitious? Like it's the same, just different customers, but the same process, same people, same building, same cars.
Oh yeah, every day is the same day basically.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So have you had anything like this, what I described, that was like unusual, that you may have recognized it as a gameplay? Or do you even get it? What do we mean by this?
In a way. I mean, I had last week I had a really slow week, whereas this week recently, this last week was really good. So 2 weeks goes bad, this week was good, and I've been trying to like be more positive and think about more good stuff. And I had one instance where I was in a random building on a computer typing, and this customer walked past 2 salesmen and approached me and said, "Hey, I want to look at this car." And it's kind of funny, like there's so many variables that could have happened, but instead they went through all these things and came to see me in person and like, "Hey, I want to look at this car." And I ended up selling them a car that day, and it's just kind of normally I wouldn't get a customer that way. I was kind of in a random building where people don't really walk into, so it's kind of a nice thing to people coming to see me instead of having to go talk to people. So I don't know if that would kind of be a similar instance.
Yeah, I think that's one of those. Yeah.
Yep.
Like I don't know. Sometimes people would describe it as a coincidence. We
Yeah.
we call it gameplay, but there are no coincidences, right?
Yeah. Those are just the ones that are obvious.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was again. Wow. Yesterday I was watching The Matrix again. uh, I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen it, but there was that scene again with the cat, the black cat. You guys remember?
Yep.
So when they were in
Deja
the
vu.
building, yeah, and the black cat went by, and then he did it again. That's how they recognized that there was some kind of a glitch, and that they probably are in trouble already. But just a little thing, little minor detail, just like that. And so to me, this guy that came to see me in my day, that's a minor detail. And if he doesn't have an appointment, it's even a smaller minor detail because I don't deal with it. But for some reason, um, my intuition told me that I need to go because I felt uncomfortable. And I don't know if you guys remember, I've been talking about this, that I'm paying attention now. What makes me not uncomfortable, but there's a different word I use. Um, like, like if I feel it in my stomach that it doesn't feel right, then I know I have to go through it instead
Yeah.
of ignoring it or go around it or whatever. So that's it. So wow. And so let's go back to the thing that we were talking about where you were, I am, where you talking about everything is a gameplay. So how can we become like more conscious of that?
Yeah, that's funny. That's where you got to find the balance between the being in the heart and being in the mind, because conscious awareness, as in a human conscious awareness, is mind. We're conscious of this, we're conscious of that. So we have to, because the game is given to you, or you take the game by the reins. You get in the driver's seat. You okay, this is a game. Like, um whatever word you want to call this, reality, simulation, hologram, whatever word fits for you, that means take some time, and I mean some serious time, to integrate that, just that, with your consciousness. Like, even, I've got a glass of water here. You just take a sip and just say little things like, wow, did that ever feel real? Does that ever look real? Consciously telling yourself stuff, because the world around you, the reality around you, is consciously telling you, I'm real. I'm real. I'm solid. I'm real. So you have to consciously tell yourself, wow, does that ever look real? So you're agreeing with it, but with a twist that brings in a truth, whatever it is that you want to attach the wording for you that's comfortable. That's bringing it home. That's making it more real. And then you're training your mind, your conscious mind, to be more aware of it. That's all. It's just, oh, okay, yeah, that does. And it's cool. It's a game. Nobody else knows it's a game. And that's the point of the game. And you're just consciously self-talking constantly, so that you start to understand that everything's a gameplay. Like, even the fact that that desk in the office is in the exact same position as it was 6 months ago tells you this office is real. Right? Because it's still there. It hasn't moved. So it's constantly telling you constants. There is no constant. There is no constant. There is cause and effect. You are the cause and effect. Your expectations. That's the observer effect, right? The expectations of the observer. You go into that office and you expect that desk over there, that waitress, or that rep over there, that blind over there, the window over there. You expect all of that. So it is. So
well,
everything.
But isn't it accurate to say that we have trained our mind that it is that way, and our mind just re-accesses the information and displays it for us.
Yeah, and there is a pool, a data bank for the collective. That's where you get like the world and things like that, and definitions for peace and definitions for this, because there's a collective sort of game going on. But I'm more into the idea that because of what I know, we all kind of walk around with our own reality bubbles, and we integrate into. This is really hard to grasp consciously with your mind, but it does help. So right now I'm playing with the mouse pad, and I can see on this screen that I'm looking at where you are, that this cursor, the mouse cursor thing, is moving around on and in the screen. And there's a U, and there's a mountain, and there's some buildings. There is no buildings. There is no U, and there is no mountain, and there is no mouse cursor in this screen. Those things are not in the screen, but it's presenting it to me that is it. And let's say I am the cursor, the mouse, so I'm in the screen, and I can actually touch items on the screen and click them and move them because I'm in that focus of reality. It is a reality. I look at the screen and it's showing me a reality, but the reality is not that there is a great big high-rise building in my screen. That's just not. But it's presenting it to me as that. So you're in like your own reality bubble, and every once in a while people are invited in to interact, to make it more real, or give you a clue, or give you a hint, or just give you grief or whatever, you know. It's all playing.
So on Friday, I had a world-renowned PhD scientist of the brain on the network, and I was trying to get him to make some admissions about this, that this isn't real. It appears as real, and he wouldn't go there. He was like absolutely 100% convinced that this is real, and that the brain. I asked him, does he believe that the brain is a computer? And he said, no, the brain is an interface. That's how he described the brain.
That is really cool, because that's the truth.
It's an interface.
There's a you that can observe the thoughts. So you are not the mind, but the mind is the interface between the you and the reality. Just like this mouse pad thing is the interface between the screen and me.
So the other reason I brought up gameplay is because I don't know if you caught this, but at the beginning when I was describing this gameplay experience of mine at the office, what I was like dealing with there for a few minutes before I got up and actually went to see the guy, I had fear.
Oh yeah.
I had fear about who he could be.
Yeah.
and all this other crap. So
did you do the process?
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely. If I wouldn't have done the process, I wouldn't have got up and went to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all BS. It's just stuff that I was like totally making up, and I could see my energy coming back to me once I told the truth about it. I was just scared, you know.
Yeah.
What if it's the IRS?
Yeah.
because I had that happen to me before in my life. You know, I had the IRS come into my office unannounced, and they took me into my conference room, and they basically said, you have to pay this by next Friday or we're shutting you down. And I haven't forgotten that, you know? And I'm going like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's weird. So,
Yeah.
so really what we're talking about mostly in phase 2 is we're talking about sitting in the driver's seat versus in phase 1 sitting in the passenger seat and taking more and more control. But the only way we can take more and more control of how things are turning out is if we deal with these fears. Is that accurate? Because we've given our power away to them.
That's part of it. The illusions and the fears.
Mhm.
And they're all connected too, because the illusion of the consequence you were playing out in your head that wasn't even real, but it could be.
Mhm.
But what is real? That's the illusion altogether is the illusion. So eventually, if you're really riding this phase 2 thing, you're going to go through process, and each one gets bigger, better, badder, whatever. But you eventually find out there's no IRS. But you can't mental it. You can't intellect it. Because your whole reality around you is telling you I'm real. You actually have to be walked through what works for you best. And I guess that's the you that's holding the game controller. And he presents stuff in your reality, which is, you know, it's stepping you along a path and steering you. And eventually, you know, in a year or two or whatever, you get to this point where you know. You don't have to believe or anything like that. You know that everything that you're witnessing is a not. It is, but it isn't. On one level, it's totally real, like that PhD you were talking about. He's totally in that level. So him fighting that level, it's very solid, very real.
Ben,
Yes.
we gotta hear your voice. What's
Definitely.
going on? What's going on over there?
Nothing. Just listening to some good conversation.
Nothing. Nothing. Wow. Well, ultimately, that's where we're gonna get to. I think is there'll be nothing, and then we'll just be sitting here quiet on the show, and that will be the show.
I'll be very entertaining. Just no talking. Sorry.
Yeah, sat
I love-
saying with Steve.
Yeah, satsang with Steve, I am, and Ben. Okay, so so I had mostly a really shitty week, especially my Monday morning. I did not want to play this game anymore. And I even called IM because anybody else I would have called, they would have been concerned for me. And they would have called 911 probably.
Oh, and I laughed, right?
Yeah. And oh my God, it was just like absolutely.
You get the weirdest responses from people that think they're gurus. You present the, you know, your tragedy of life and they laugh.
Yeah. And then other people I would present it to, they would want to fix it, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like, what can I do? What can I help? Blah, blah, blah. Everything is going to be all right. Well, I already know that everything is going to be all right. But at the time, I just felt really shitty, and I didn't want to repeat the same thing I repeat every Monday morning, which is to go to this place of work. And people probably wonder, well, how come I feel that way being in this kind of work? Well, because I do. I just being authentic. I just didn't feel like doing it anymore. And then after I talked to, by the time I finished my conversation describing how shitty I felt, I was at the office, and I went in there. It's kind of, and this is kind of funny. It's as soon as I step into that reality, I am being called to be the personality that I have created myself of, which is I'm always very positive. People can't handle it; they don't know what to do with me, and I'm also always cheering other people on, and I'm being very funny about it. Like, I just tell people, get on the phone. It's like when the bosses come around and they say that, it's a completely different conversation. It's like from a supervisor to an employee. But when I say it, they take it differently, and take it much easier. And I'm being funny about it. I says, what are you doing? Like, why are you on the internet? Get off the internet and get on the phone. And they'll do the same to me, and it's just funny, and we just remind ourselves. So it's just a really cool environment, and so there's no room for me to be the person that I was right before I went on the elevator, like when I was talking to IM. That I could not do that in this environment, because I designed it in a way that isn't acceptable. Other people can do it, but I can't. So, the day turns out that I closed 2 deals. By 11 o'clock, I had like $700,000 worth of deals done, signed and delivered. And I felt so good about it. And then right after that, I went and worked out. That's something new that I'm doing. I'm working out. There's an athletic club in the building, brand new. So I worked out for an hour, and then I probably played like 6 ping pong games that day. And that's the way the day kind of worked out. And just want to remind you that it started like really, 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 really shitty. Like I didn't want to do any of it. And then it turned out really good.
That's awesome. This is a great day right there.
Yeah, it was a fantastic day. And then the rest of the week actually was like that. Pretty neat. It's just, I still have my issues with money. I haven't mastered it. So that's something I'm continuously working on. And there's this other thing that came up for me yesterday. Like, and I actually thought about that to be the theme, but for some reason the gameplay was stronger. But this thing about problems, like, and we really haven't talked about it in that context on the show. Like, what are problems? Like, we can all relate. I think anybody that's watching the show can relate to problems. Like, what are your problems of your day or of your life? And a lot of people, including myself, sometimes I don't want to deal with my problems. But I don't think that works, or it hasn't worked in the past that I didn't deal with my problems. Somehow I have to get the courage and the strength to deal with them, because they're not going away. Does that make sense, guys?
That's a real twister, actually.
Or are you choking over there?
No, from phase 1, there is a dealing with problems because they exist. In phase 2, they don't exist. But you have to deal with them to find out what does exist. If it's a fear of a consequence or something that you yourself...
It's definitely a fear of a consequence, and all of my problems are about money.
Yeah,
right,
and
in phase 2, it's all consequence.
They all weave back into our last theme. I think it was the last one or the one before that, which is self-love. Because, like, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guitars and stuff like that. Obviously, I don't need 6. I can't play 6 at the same time. But they're mine. Like, even if I'm in a situation where I could sell one for whatever reason to pay this bill or whatever, to deal with the problem, then I have to examine what am I attaching to this thing? this object, like, and then I find out, well, it's mine, and I want it. I don't want to lose it, or I don't, like, maybe there's a thing about loss in your DNA and your generations, all that stuff. But it comes back to even just, well, it's my rule. Mine has something to do with me. If I lose it, it has something to do with losing value. So you can't really pigeonhole that one into one specific thing. Definitely in phase one, all of the problems are real. They really, really are. Because you're in phase one, they are as solid as possible. You better deal with them. And in phase two, it's more of a deal with what's going on inside you. And then eventually you'll find out what problems really do exist.
Oh, okay.
Like,
So that's it. Yeah. You just said it. So in phase one, the problems are all external, and we got to fix it externally so they don't show up that way. And in phase two, the problems are external, but we're going inside of ourselves to deal with them. Is that accurate?
very, very. But it's also not just the problems, because if that brings you around to the fact that the problem doesn't really exist, it's what I attach to that really does exist, and it's in me, so I can just, detach it, and then it's gone. But then there's also the good points too as well, because like if you use plastic for money, it's not real. Neither is the bill that comes every month. If you master this, you are holding a piece of plastic that never runs out. And you're never billed for it. That's just one aspect of getting a grip on what is real. Like, imagine having an unlimited plastic. Unlimited. You're not going to get billed, and there's no lid. Because there is no lid. There is no plastic. There is no company to bill you.
Wow. Ben, are you getting your head around this at all?
Yeah, it sounds nice.
Yeah, it's got to. It has to, because when we focus so much on problems and stuff like that, you get going on this phase two thing, and you're like, fuck it. I don't even want to do it. I'm going back to phase one. It was comfy. I could control that.
Yeah, it's like in the Matrix. I know this steak is not real.
Yeah.
But when
is
I
ever
put it in my
tasty?
mouth, it tastes so good.
Yeah. I love the illusion.
Oh
I feel
my
like
God.
with that kind of card analogy, it's almost like money and the idea of debt and stuff. Like if you spend all your time making money to pay off debt, you'll never get rich because you're focusing on the negative aspect.
Yeah.
And that's like the phase one reason to get wealthy is phase one is to focus on debt, pay that off, and save money. Whereas phase two would be the prosperity and focus on making money and wealth and all that stuff instead. And that's, at least personally, I find myself having issues with is focusing on what's in my control, not what I can attract in my life, what I can do right now.
Yeah. Yeah, attracting is a really bad word. It really is, because it says it's out there.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
I have to attract it in. And you're on the first show, you said you don't even worry about money. It's kind of like it's not out there, and you know it. It's falling on me all the time. So it's a totally different mindset, and it's funny. You get into the game, and you get to points where you get just pissed right off it. Even the people that are telling you the good things to do, because they're advocating this special herb or whatever to activate your pineal gland or whatever, keep you healthier longer and all that. So they're making this thing so real, and because theirs is so good, they're speaking about the bad. Everything's solidifying this stuff that doesn't even exist. So even they're the bad guy, because cause and effect. What vitamin? You need a vitamin? Is there one? So coming at everything from the very, very, very base, it's all in you. Like it is all in your conscious awareness. And if you do the Sam Harris meditation, you'll probably witness that. And if you witness it, it's like, wow, everything's in you. You're like walking around inside your own dream. And if you are, whose dream is it? So who's in control of it?
I just did that meditation this morning, but here's the thing. I've been like, my mind has been wired so many times regarding money. Like when I grew up in this communist country, money had no value. That's what they taught us. It had no value. What had value is power and control. The communist regime, you had to be a communist, then you had unlimited power, and you could have unlimited things regardless. Money didn't even matter, because if you were a communist, you could get whatever you wanted. It had nothing to do with money. So I grew up in that, and then I came over here, and then I learned about the only way to have the control and the power is to have money. Oh, holy shit. A totally different concept, you know, it's a whole...
Actually, it's very much the same. It's just got a different face.
Well, it's a different... Well, no, it's very different because over there, nobody cared about... So the people that were without money, we didn't have like the poor, the rich and the, people in the middle. We didn't have any of that. We just had the public and the communists.
Yeah, so you had the poor and the rich, but it wasn't labeled that way.
But they weren't really rich because money had no value. See?
But they had the power.
They had the power. So it's like...
So does money.
It's like, so if somebody wanted a phone, and if you were the public, you had to wait 10 years. If you were a communist, you waited 1 day. And you had
just like money.
And money had nothing to do with it.
No, but it is just like money. If I've got 100,000 in the bank right now, I got a whole lot other choices than the guy next door.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
So it's a communist.
I'm just saying that the money thing didn't even come into my mind until I got here, because that's what I figured out how important that was. I mean, you have no idea what I went through just when I first got my first checking account. I mean, it was like a checking account that didn't even exist where I was growing up.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I really thought that I accomplished something, and now I just have to laugh about it because it's like, who gives a crap about a checking account?
What do you do with your money if we don't checking accounts? Like, where do you store your money? Just like in your wallet, or like a bag somewhere? You just...
Yeah, well, a lot of people do that, including that in this country, because they don't believe in the banking system. So a lot of people have a lot of money in their mattresses. I come up against that almost every day, because we have rules in the finance business. You can't use cash. Isn't that funny? You can't use cash to buy a house unless the only way you can use cash, let me rephrase that. You cannot finance a house and use cash as a down payment or for closing costs unless you can prove where it came from. So you can't. So for example, if let's say you're buying a $400,000 home, and you putting down, let's say 20%, so that's $80,000. You have to prove where the $80,000 came from, and it has to show up in your bank account. Like you can't show up with $80,000 at closing and expect to close. It's not going to happen.
Oh, that's funny. See, that's communism too.
Yeah, so I had people, I had transactions where I was helping somebody to purchase a house, and I explained all this to them, and I explained it multiple times to make sure they understand. But here's the funny thing about the rule, that as long as you can, if you want to put $80,000 in your bank account 2 months before you buy the house, no questions asked, because it's already in your bank account. And when I ask you to show me the last 2 months of your bank statements, it's not going to show up there that it was deposited. It's already there.
Yeah.
Then everything is fine.
Yeah.
So there's this aging thing that I don't know what's magical about 2 months. I haven't figured that one out. What's magical?
Oh,
about
it's
2 months
nothing to do
period.
with that. It's follow our rules.
Yeah, it's follow rules. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
They're stupid, dumb rules, but you better follow them.
That's definitely part of it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So definitely, it's just telling you you're not in control.
But if you were, let's say, laundering money, I guess maybe it's well known that people that want to launder money, they want to launder it right now. They don't want to wait 2 months. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's aging. You have to age the money to be able to not have to prove where it came from. So if it's already in your account and I look at your last 2 months and your deposit has been over $80,000, nobody cares. Everything's fine. So I had people trying to purchase a home, and they forgot these little rules that I have told them 10 times. And it comes 3 days before closing, and I tell them, you got to have this much money in your bank account because this is how much you have to bring to closing. And the guy says, no problem. And then guess what? I mean, we check in the last minute to see, we want to see his bank statement, like stand by the banker. Show me your bank statement right now, like right before closing. And there's a $1,200 deposit there. And then I have to ask the stupid question. So where did this $1,200 came from? And he says, well, I just had it. I said, but don't you remember what I told you, that you can't do this? This is not allowed. You can't just take $1,200, from your drawer or from your mattress and make the deposit, because that's not going to work. You can't use that money. And now you can't close unless you can come up with another $1,200 somewhere else. Well, guess where the only place it can come from is a gift. So he had to go to a relative and get a gift. It's insane. It's insane. Yeah. So I learned this stuff about money, and when I came here, and here I am now. I'm trying to unlearn most of the stuff, and I don't know how I'm going to do that, being in the finance business.
Oh, you just know you're playing.
Because it's really, really real. They really think it's real. We deal with hundreds of millions of dollars every month, and we never see that money. It's just, those are just, people just type stuff into our computers, and that's it. That's how money moves. There's no dollars anywhere. Just numbers. We're transferring numbers.
Yep. That's funny.
So, what else is there about gameplay? Anybody's got anything? Gotta think quick on your feet. On a live show.
I have feet.
You do?
Cool. Yeah. Where'd they come from?
Well, be quick about it then.
It's funny because it's neat that you titled it Gameplay and you just said that about The Office. You're playing. You're playing by their rules, because that's, they'll pout if you don't.
Oh, if I don't. Or hell breaks loose if I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
it's
man,
like
how many different
temper tantrum.
How many different processes and rules do you guys have at the office, and what happens when you don't follow it?
I mean, I guess the same thing, kind of what you were saying before, the whole supervisor employee, like, got to make phone calls and you got to do this, and kind of always having someone else kind of give commands to do whatever you have to do.
Yeah. I call that micromanaging. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want to make sure that you do what you're supposed, as far as they know, they understand what's supposed to be done to make this business work. They have all these things worked out, and these are all commands. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. then you'll be successful. If you don't do this, don't even work here, dude. Because what's the sense?
Every office has its 10 commandments.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because the business is going through. We laid off like 18 people in the last month, and things have changed in the business because we don't have as many refinances as we used to have because the rates increased and people are not as excited about refinancing anymore. So now the whole business is shifting from, and we do a lot of advertising. I mean, we spend like 6 figures every month on advertising, but it's, the business is changing. So we have to make more calls now. Before we just had to answer calls, which is easier. So people are having a tough time making that switch because it's not the same. Calling people and being called is a completely two different animals.
Yeah.
But we had the big meeting. We had the meeting where the CEO, the president, screamed at us, that this is unacceptable. You have to go back to doing what matters, and they know exactly. They spell it out. There's like 3 very important things you got to do in order to make this work, and everybody already knows all that. So it's like managers are attempting to control people's behaviors, which is very difficult to do, other than manage it by fear. So what managers, I think, learned is that if they make people fearful, they'll do what they ask. But it's always temporary. It always only lasts for a little while, and then people go back to who they really are. Do you experience that, Ben?
Oh, completely. Yeah. People get motivated for a short period of time and then resort back to their, level of training or who they are, their motivation levels.
So I'm wondering if the managers, don't they know this already? Like, we know the things that they want us to do because we do. We've been told a million times. It's already in us. And don't they already know from their point of view that they can keep telling us all this stuff and it's going to be short term, that we're going to go back to who we really are? Don't they know that? Do you think?
Probably. I don't know. I mean, there's probably a disconnect too. Once you get to that level, a certain disconnect of like, the kind of guru feeling of I know how to make this right, and this is what you have to do, and why aren't you doing this? Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's really funny.
That's my line.
Because I hear them, I hear what they're saying, and I believe that what they're saying is accurate. I mean, it requires us to do that, but I'm going to be me. I'm not going to change who I am. Well, I'm changing who I am every day, but I am just going to have fun at this and have a good time. And if I'm not having fun and having a good time anymore, I don't think I want to do it anymore. That's just where I'm at with this. And I'm still having a lot of fun at the office because it feels good. It feels good to work with all the people, and there's so many funny stuff that happens. It's like a comedy. It's like a comedy show all day long. And I feel good about helping people to buy the house that doesn't really exist and to solve their debt problems that don't really exist. I mean, it's a completely different world that I'm living in.
You're helping them to play.
Yeah. I'm helping them to play. Yeah.
Yep.
And everything is so real. And I'm sitting back
That's
going,
funny.
Dude. Yeah, that is your line.
Yeah, that helping them to play thing, that's what the managers are doing. The managers are there to yell at me because I want them to yell at me to play this game. It's funny. And for some people, they shouldn't be there.
Yeah, but
They
you see,
really shouldn't.
my direct supervisor used to do that, and I completely transformed that relationship. We are like friends now,
Yeah,
and he doesn't yell at me anymore.
yeah,
And he
because
used, and he used to.
his yelling was in the early stages. It was to weed you out if you were a weenie.
Mm,
If you're not cut out for this, if you don't really want to be here, you would have left.
mm.
So now you're on, same level kind of. He knows you're not just a kid that's gonna cry and
Yeah.
go home.
Oh, you think you mean like I proved myself type of
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah,
Oh.
you're there.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I don't know what that is.
Well, it means you're actually doing something you love to do, and you should be there until you decide you don't want to be there. Some people took the job just because they want the damn money. They can't do it. They shouldn't do it. They've got no skills to it as far as intuitively, but they're still hacking away at it because they want the damn money. But they shouldn't be there.
Mm.
They're ruining themselves.
Well, I think, yeah. So in business, yeah, this is true. Yeah, I get this.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of business people take way too long to figure that out if they are cut out to be there or not. I think some people need to be helped to get off that game.
Yeah.
Because they will take way too long, because the need for money is so strong that they will stay there and fake it for 6 months to a year. And I've seen that happen in this business where people were there way too long. And we knew like within the first month that this person isn't going to make it. But 6 months later, he's still there.
Yeah. But
Why are we doing that?
The money.
But why are we the people that are in the business and the managers and the owners, why are they doing it? Why are they not paying attention to this stuff?
Well, that's probably why they continue to use old tactics like yelling and stuff like that, because eventually the guy that you already know isn't supposed to be there will get sick of it and go. He doesn't love the job. He doesn't want the job. He wants the damn money. So all that other stuff, because you have more of a love for the job and the actual functioning of the job and have different perspectives of it, you don't care about the yelling thing. You get over it. Yeah. Whereas they wouldn't. They will eventually just crack and leave, which they should have did, way before then, for their own benefit and the company. It's so that being like, genuine.
It's like you got to cut your losses as quickly as possible. If you're going to lose, cut it as quickly as possible.
If you think you're going to lose, yeah.
Yeah, if you think you're going to lose. Yeah.
Because you're actually going to win, because you'll end up being somewhere where you want to be daily. You actually jive with it. You resonate with it. It's something you could do even if they cut your pay, because you like doing it.
Yeah. Well, so I just wanted to go back for a second for the when the owner, the CEO, yelled at us in this meeting, and I felt discomfort for just a few seconds, and then I felt no fear at all, like I wasn't afraid, like what the hell, and I'm just going like, it was so sad for me to experience the guy at the top acting like a parent and talking to us like we're the kids. That just was so sad for me, because that was the environment that was created. Like he was the parent and he didn't like the way things were going, and my God, he was gonna just yell at us and scream at us. And if he could beat us on the ass, he would have. But that's just, oh my God, we're all adults, dude. It's like, what the hell?
Actually, are the rest of them adult? about being there,
Oh,
about being genuine and having
some of them are probably not. I mean,
right.
I know some of them are probably took it the same way I took it. I just meant like, okay, this is the best you can do. Then okay,
Yeah, but
that's
there's some
fine.
of them, like I've been a supervisor a few times at workplaces, and really it is a daycare. It really is a daycare. The things that you have to
Mhm.
break up fights about are
Mhm.
so insignificant and not on point to the reason you're in this building. Like she took your I don't care. Get the fucking job done. You're here to do a job. You sold me your 8 hours. I want 8 hours. Don't sell me it if you don't want to. Get out of here. It's so much like a daycare that for some people they really need to be told, and the other ones just they have to put up with it.
It's like they're like the grown up kids, they're like the good kid that's doing his chores. Those are the ones on the outside, and then there's the parents, and then there's the kids that are trollmakers, and you know we'd be the bystanders, the one that follow the rules, that are just kind of watching it all happen.
Yeah, and you're very level-headed about the whole business thing, because everything that I just spewed out as a supervisor sort of thing, okay, now take this same mouth that spewed all that out and put it into the customer. I'm going to give you my hard-earned money for whatever product or service you and your employees are giving me. So do I want to know that they're wasting the hours that you have to pay my money to them with, so that I actually am getting less of a deal? You know what I mean? So it's the whole interaction of business between customer, boss, employee. There's a very childlike mannerism going on in specific spots of that interaction. It's just an interaction. It's just a gameplay. Everybody's playing their part. Everybody's playing a part that meshes with this other part. Like if there wasn't the need for somebody to yell, there'd be nobody to yell. It just it's the way the game plays. If it's in my script for somebody to come in and criticize me on that topic for me, for my benefit, even if it's my benefit so that I wake up and get the hell out of that job, then it happens. Nothing happens without a reason. Nothing.
So even are you saying? So I just want to tie it back to the theme of the show. So are you saying that the meeting that I described, where the CEO was yelling at everybody, that's a huge gameplay?
Oh yeah, massive.
Hmm.
Massive, and it's totally harmonic interaction. We like pray for peace, pray for peace. A totally harmonic interaction is two countries at war for the individuals who are wanting to play war. It's harmonic. Everything resonates. If it doesn't, you might be able to get this one. If, like, because I said I got 6 guitars here, some of them are hanging up on the walls. If I pluck one specific string on one of them, the other ones will resonate on that string, just because the waves are in the air.
Mm-hmm.
That same string will vibrate.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's touched them.
Yeah, I can see that.
So there's a waving, a resonating going on all around all of us, where if it comes into you, into your bubble of reality, I'll call it, there's a reason. It was resonating with something, most likely something you don't know, because you're not being very inner focused. You got your daily routines and all that, and you have no idea you got this in you, right? I didn't know. So it comes to help you. And that whole scene about the boss screaming and all that, maybe there's 2 or 3 people that were in that meeting that really have to get out of there for their own happiness, really for their own longevity. Because a soul-sucking job is any job if you hate it. No job is a soul-sucking job. It is only a soul-sucking job if you hate it. So there's another job out there somewhere for you.
Hmm.
No, you're killing yourself. So get the hell out of here. You know what I
Cool.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's a huge, massive gameplay. And that guy was doing whatever 2 or 3 people that need to get out of there for their own, health. He was doing them a favor.
Hmm. Wow, very good. All right. Well, guess what? Conscious Hour went bye-bye.
Oh, good.
There we go.
Here we are. All right. So it was a great dialogue about gameplay. Hopefully, people will get something out of it or not. Either way,
I didn't.
I'm happy. Fine then. All right. Well, get well. I am.
Yeah, I can get back to sniffling and laying down.
Yeah. So, see you guys next time. Same place, same time.
Yep.
On the Lasky Game Show, ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com. See you guys. Have a wonderful rest of Sunday and tomorrow. Oh, there's no car selling today.
No,
It's a holiday for you. Are you on a
It
holiday
is.
tomorrow? No, you're not.
no, definitely not.
Cool.
Big day tomorrow.
Have fun. Big day. Everybody's home.
Have fun.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.